It's time for a Dylan Honest movie review. Not a review of an honest movie, but an honest review of a movie that, how I feel honestly about it. There's a film that I watched recently, and it's one of those films that everyone claims is the genesis of one thing or another. It's really a prototype for a lot of different ideas for the horror genre and the thriller genre. Uh, but for all it's talked up, I just watched it again and I was like, this ain't that good a film. I mean, it's just not that great of a film in and of itself. And that film is Carnival of Souls, made in 1962 by Herc Harvey. Night of the Living Dead, zombies, really, that whole thing kind of comes from it, that aesthetic. Yella, the movie was based pretty much entirely off of it. David Lynch stuff is almost directly from it. It's also really artsy, too, I have to admit. They're always trying out different shit throughout this film, but it's just, God, it's kind of boring. It's not that well made, I'm sorry. They kind of hide behind the whole avant-garde thing. They're like, yeah, if this seems kind of out of place, or if this seems kind of shitty, I don't know, forgive it, because that's how it's supposed to look. Or we were on a shoestring budget. We're not part of a big studio, man. No one's controlling us, telling us what to do. And true to form, the film opens, I think, in kind of an interesting way. I'll give them this. I think this is interesting. The film just kind of opens in the middle of something happening, like there's no intro at all. There's no title sequence. There's no anything. You just start in the middle of a scene, and it's a car driving up to another car. And there are these people talking. I don't catch any of what they're saying. You can go read the synopsis, and they'll be like, yeah, they were talking about drag racing or something, but I couldn't catch any of that. Like, the microphone is way off. I don't know, there's like a wood chipper going nearby. You can't hear anything. So they're, and there are these girls in this other car, and they're like, well, we don't know if we want to race you boys. Maybe we want to go get a soda pop first, or go to the movies. But instead, they decide that they're going to race rods, and so they go on a little chase around the countryside. Then they get to a bridge, and they decide to slow down and drive side by side across the bridge. I don't know why they decide to do that. But the other thing, too, is that they're kind of like bashing into each other. They're not being safe about it. And then one of them, I don't know. I mean, it's not filmed very well. One of the women is like, ah! The film jumps. She's like, ah! The film broke. Oh, my goodness. And the car flips and goes over the bridge and falls into the water. And the other guys are like, oh, shit, we better... I don't know. I mean, they don't have cell phones, right? They got to drive off and find someone. And by that time, I think pretty much almost everyone in this car must be dead. Except for this one woman. She gets out. She's named Mary Henry. By the way, the names in this film are stuff that me and my friends could have come up with when we were in 4th grade. They're like, yes, my name is Mary Henry. I'm an organist. She comes crawling out of the riverbank, and she's victorious. She's like, I don't know what the fuck happened to those other guys, but I'm alive! And no one can figure out how. Everyone's a little spooked by her, I gotta say. She always has a weird look on her face. Suddenly we cut from all of that to her sitting at an organ. And it's an organ shop, like where they build organs. Why she's there playing an organ is never actually explained. They just, like, yeah, she hangs out where they build them, too. She plays organs. She's attracted to them like moths to a flame. They can't keep her away. And it's kind of interesting because they're showing us different rooms, like, different areas of organ construction. And we have the guy's workroom, and there's pinups of women, like, all over the walls, which is kind of risque for 1962. But, I mean, my dad was like, it looks like a doctor's office, except they're using, like, protractors and rulers and things and making schematics. And there's a woman, she's lacquering, or she's painting. I don't know what she looks like she's doing arts and crafts, like they're keeping her busy. And there's other people kind of pouring sugar into the giant chocolate mixer, tending the waterfall. There's lots of different stuff going on. And then there's this giant organ, and it's actually a pretty nice shot. And she's playing. She's feeling good. She's kind of lost in it. She's working the pedals with her feet. She's, oh! And then this guy comes up, "Wow, Mary, that sounds real good. Shut up, like stop playing." She goes, "Well, I'm picking up my life. I'm gonna leave now. All my friends are dead." By the way, we never learned anything about those guys. She's just like, they're all dead, and I don't feel like there's anything left for me here. I'm gonna go to Utah. She's decided her future's in Utah. She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go there. And once in Utah, I'm going to go play organ for a church. Not a Mormon church, by the way. It's very interesting. She's like, it's not going to be some weird-ass Mormon church. I'm not doing that where their chairs swivel around to different altars on different ends of the room. I'm not doing that weird shit. I'm going to a normal church where I will be playing the organ. But you know what? I just want to make it very clear to everybody listening. This is not a church thing, okay? I want to make it clear that I'm not going there for religious purposes. I'm, open to things. I think there might be a flying spaghetti monster. I don't know. Who's to say? I mean, all these different competing theories. I feel lost amongst it all. I'm hopelessly agnostic. I don't know. She's just very disconnected. She's almost kind of against it. She's like, I'm going to go play at church, but I'm not going to be happy about it. If someone comes up to me during communion, they come up and they're like, "God loves you." I won't embrace them. I'll say, "No, get away. I'm just the organist. I don't deal with this kind of stuff. I'm standoffish." And she talks about this all the time. She's always like, "I would rather be alone." And she wonders why no one likes her. So she's like, "I'm just leaving town because I feel alone and kind of depressed. I'm taking a lot of phenobarbital." So she packs up her stuff. She's got a gig at a church somewhere, but she's not going to be happy about it or something. And as she leaves the room, she trots off. She's like, "I'm a modern woman, and no one, including a car flipping off of a bridge, is going to stop me from doing that." And she walks off, and the guy, the organ builder, and some dude who's drawing on some paper, I don't know what he's doing. He's got like a pencil behind his ear, so I'm guessing that he builds things too. And he's like, "God, would you look at that?" And they start talking about her. They're like, she's strange. She's one of those weird ones. I would say she's about a 7. She likes playing the organ, but she's disconnected from people. Again, they're like, she doesn't like physical contact. She freaks out if you get too close to her. She has boundary issues. And the thing is that they're staring at the camera, and they do this for, I don't know, about 5 minutes. They're just staring off in the direction that she left. I'm like, is she still in the doorway? Did she not leave? Or are they just looking out the open door? Yeah, just thinking about her. Oh, well, she was hot in the face, I guess. I don't know. And so she drives off. And she's like, "I'm just going to zone out for a little bit." She tends to zone out and become, again, really disconnected from things. Like, people will stop talking to her. And she'll freak out. She'll start taking it personally. She'll be like, "Why is everyone not talking to me? Why am I not in on this?" And she'll get like super uptight. And so she's in the car, but she's alone. So she's like, "I'm feeling okay." And then she sees a man outside the window. And he's got weird spooky clown eyes or something. It's very David Lynch, but of course before David Lynch. It just looks like he threw a bunch of flour on his face and then rubbed some shoe polish around his eyeballs. And he's always got like kind of a weird looking smile on his face, and he's holding a flashlight right here. And so he pops up in the window and, "Hey, how's it going?" And she's like, "I don't know who you are." And the car goes swerving off the road and into a ditch. And we're like, "Wow, really? Again?" She's like, "God damn it, I did it again. Fuck." Well, this time it's no big deal. And she drives out. And I'm not going to let any ghosts or whatever that was get me down. What's that? On the horizons, she sees some sort of weird structure. Now, she's entered Utah, and Utah is very eerie in some places because it's very flat and sandy. There's lots of weird stuff going on. Specifically, we have this Solitaire amusement park. It was an abandoned theme park or amusement of some kind. It's very bizarre looking. It looks like Aladdin's palace, but it was made decades before Aladdin. And it's out just in the middle of Utah in the desert somewhere, and they abandoned it because apparently no one wanted to go there. They didn't get it. And so she's driving by and she's looking out like, "Ooh, it's all abandoned." It seems like a place where I'd want to go brood, but I can't do that right now. I gotta make it into Ogden. And so she drives into town. She might be in Salt Lake City, I don't know. And she goes to the boarding house of Mrs. Thomas, and she's a landlady. She's like, how's it going? I prepared your room. It's got a John and all the amenities. There's also a chamber pot just in case, and a plunger. There's no reason you should bother me for anything. And she always mentions the tub. She's like, you can take a bath as many times as you like. I'm not uptight about that sort of thing. And you know, Mary's like, I'm a very thorough scrubber, okay? And Mary's upstairs. You know, I'm going to let you know, he doesn't introduce himself quite yet, but there's a man named Mr. Linden down the hall. What Mr. Linden's job is, just what his background is, really, what is raison d'etre, how is he there, is never explained. He's just some guy. He's greasy. He's got gaps between his teeth. He's just unappealing. And he's also not very smart, and he's, like, unapologetic about it. He's like, yeah, I drink a lot. Just right off the bat. So, you know, I mean, I do drink heavily. It's kind of strange that you don't. I kind of assumed you did, or is that insulting? I don't know. Just the point is, I'm an alcoholic. So be prepared for that. He's also like, at the same time, I would also like you to know that I want to have sex with you. I mean, I'm pretty upfront about it. Like, there's nothing else I really want to do. But we'll get to that in a second. She's got to set up shop first. She's like, well, I got to go see my new digs. I got to check out the organ. I got to rub my instrument. So she goes to feel the keyboard and rub the pedals. And she's in the church. Again, it's not a Mormon church. She's talking to the priest. She's telling him, this is not a religious thing. She's like, I'm not feeling God in here when I'm doing this. I just want you to know that, okay? She's like, I'm an atheist? Maybe? I don't know. And then the priest is like, I don't know. Just as long as you're not thinking about Satan, I guess it's fine. Or don't even tell me what you're thinking. This is a Catholic church or whatever. What other job are you going to get playing the organ? I asked my dad that. I was like, so what other job could she possibly get playing the organ besides being at church? I mean, considering she's so anti-religious, is this the only thing she can do? And my dad's like, well, no. It's a restaurant. Apparently it was a restaurant that had a gigantic organ in it down in Tacoma, and they served pizza, and someone would play the organ. It was called Pipes and Pizza. She's sitting there, she's playing stuff. She's like, I only know pizza tunes. If you have any kind of, I don't know, hymnals or something, or maybe some parochial music I could play, some plain song. And he goes, well, don't worry, we'll get you something. In the meantime, just continue playing your Godfather's Pizza shit. So she's doing that, she's liking it, and then she asks the father, she's like, you know, there's this building out on the outskirts of town. Woo! She sees someone out of her peripheral. It's that dude again. She's like, oh my god, what is it? Oh, never mind. I just zoned out for a moment there. Anyway, there's this place. It's out on the edge of town. It's the Solitaire Amusement Park. What's that all about? And the priest is like, I don't know. Do you want me to go take you there? Do you want to go see it? And she's like, yeah, I really would. She really wants to go there. She's like, yes, take me there, Father. He goes, well, all right, get in my Cadillac. We'll drive out there. So he takes her out there. He's like showing her around town. And she gets to the gates. She looks in. She's like, that's spooky. I love it. And he goes, well, you're kind of weird being our new organist and all. And she's like, can you break in for me? Or can you like help me cut this wire right here? And he goes, now, I'm a priest. I couldn't break the law and I'm not going to let you. Understand? And puts it back and they leave. So she goes home and Mr. Linden drops by. He pops into her room while she's taking a bath. She's sudsing up her bosom. She's like, ooh. Oh, well, she said she doesn't mind. I can take as many sudsy, bubbly baths as I want. Bzz. She's like, woo! And she gets up and goes over to the door, and it's Mr. Linden, and he comes walking on in. He's like, hey, how's it going, Toots? And she's like, just give me a minute. And she puts her clothes on, and he goes, listen, I just wanted to talk with you about, like, what you're doing. Maybe you want to have a drink? And she's like, no, I don't want to have a drink. And so he goes, okay, I'll come back in the morning. And then he pops up in the morning. She, like, wakes up. She's wearing pajamas, and she hears a knock on the door. It's him. He's like, I got coffee. I got Java. It's real hot and fresh. And she's smelling the beans. She's like, oh, God, I got to have some of that. And she walks over to the door and puts on more pajamas for, like, no reason. She's like, I got to button up another dress. And he's like, wow, you're wearing a lot of clothes. It's going to be hard getting those off. He's talking about, again, how he drinks a lot and how he didn't go to school. He's like, yeah, I decided not to go to school. I mean, they said that I could have made varsity. I don't know. He's like, I want to be a football player. I want to do lacrosse. I don't know. I want to do just anything that allows me to hang out in a men's locker room day in and day out. That's all I want. And they said that wasn't enough to pay for my going to college because I didn't want to do the classes. And she's responding. She's being lazy, in my opinion. She's like, wow, you sure know a lot about the world, I guess. Or, I could do you, maybe, but you're going to have to work at it. I don't know. Just give me some time. I don't feel like it right now. They're chatting, and he starts talking about the stuff he doesn't like most about being educated. She's like, yeah, keep selling yourself. Oh, and by the way, she's also like, have you seen this man? There's a man wandering around the house. By the way, guys, just in case, he's got kind of weird painted eyes and flour on his face. Again, this guy just keeps kind of popping up every now and then. I'm not even mentioning all the times because he does it very frequently. He'll just, hey, how's it going? Oh my god. She'll walk along. She'll be like, well, that was unnerving, or that ruined the evening. That made my mood shift. Well, I got to go do something for the day, whatever my job is. And Mr. Linden leaves, and she's like, oh, that man of mine. And she decides that she's going to go, I don't know, maybe shopping. She's going to go buy some shit. And the person showing her around, I don't know, man. I mean, it definitely looks like a tranny. It's like super duper tall, man hands, a weird wig on, and big lips, and a deep voice. Here you go, sweetie. You're shopping off the rack. And she's like, I just want to look beautiful tonight for John, or for Mr. Linden. Why is she out shopping? What is she doing? And she goes back to try something on. Again, I'm getting a little bored here. She's like, I'm feeling pretty. And then, again, she starts zoning out all of a sudden. She's like, no one will talk to me. She comes out, like the tranny woman, like, won't talk to her anymore. She's like, I don't need to give you service. And she's like, well, this is all about me now. And she runs around. She's like, no one will talk to me. No one will listen to me. She's like shaking people. They won't look at her. She's freaking out. She's having a meltdown. And then, I don't know, at a certain point she just kind of starts wandering. She's like, well, I'll just walk around town until someone talks to me. She walks around. She's looking at various different things. I can't even tell you all of the different things she does. She's like, I'm in the train station now. And woo! She looks around. She's like, wow, this hallway is very dark and tunnely. She comes walking out. She's like, now I'm on the street somewhere. I'm going to put my purse down for a moment and just chill. Think about things. Then I think I'm going to go get, I don't know, maybe a drink of water. Why won't you talk to me? The dude won't talk to me. Gonna go get a drink of water now. And she walks over. It's like someone did it with their home video camera. There's no sound. They didn't bother to record sound for this. Honestly, they're playing what I think is supposed to be stilettos, like on concrete, but it sounds like galloping. It's so rhythmic in the way that it thumps along and how it doesn't match up at all to the shots of her moving. It makes it seem like she's either a horse or she's in a carriage being drawn by a horse whenever she's moving around, like trotting about. She sees a water fountain. She's like, I gotta go get a drink. She goes over, and then suddenly a man appears above her. And again, it's filmed very loosely where there's kind of like a cut and the film breaks and there's a couple of seconds where stuff happens that explains things, but we don't get to see it. And then she jumps back and into someone's hands, and it's Dr. Samuels. How dare you? Calm down, woman. He's shaking her. He's not a member of the LDS church either, I don't think. He's like, chill out. Oh, but that man over there, he was trying to do what to you? I don't know. He was staring at me in a weird way. He was floating outside my car earlier while the car was moving. And and now he's over there. And it's some dude, and he's, I'm going to give it to her. He should not have been leaning down next to her like that for whatever reason, but he's like, I was just trying to get a drink of water, ma'am. And Dr. Samuels is like, listen, I'm a doctor. Why don't you come back to my office? And he like pulls her back to his office and sits her down and then turns away from her for like no reason, just turns away from her, has his back to her, and he's like, now talk to me. Tell me, what's going on, Toots? And she's like, well, you see, it all started, Doc, when I was drag racing. I was drifting. And we went across a bridge, see? And my friends, whoever they were, and we fell off the bridge and I got out. I don't remember why. I feel very disconnected. The point is, I haven't had sex in years. Yes, yes, I see he's, playing with his pencil. What do you think is wrong with me, Doc? Give it to me straight. And he turns around and he's like, don't you ever want to get close to people? Don't you ever want to participate in things? He's kind of berating her. He's like, I don't think you're as big a loner as you make yourself out to be. I mean, you're a monkey, essentially, You're a social animal. And I thought, well, there's this Mr. Linden, I guess. I don't know. You're probably waiting for me to tell you what's his advice, like what's his diagnosis, what's his prescription, and the thing is that we don't get one because as it turns out, he's not really a psychiatrist or something. He's like, well, I'm not a psychiatrist. Turns around. He's like, I'm not a psychiatrist at all. I'm just a concerned citizen, and you have my ear. And I think that you, I don't know, need to maybe go to church and play some devil music. She's like, well, I guess I could. I mean, it's hard zoning out. I just feel lonely, like no one will talk to me, and I'm a ghost. I mean, we kind of get that sense. We're like, yeah, she's probably a ghost or something. She died, obviously, in that car accident. We understand that. And now she's wandering around, I suppose, not accepting her fate, whatever that means. So she's like, I'm going to go make it weird. She goes to church, and she sits down. I don't believe in any of it. And she starts playing. And what's funny is my dad was watching it with me, and immediately he's like, uh-oh. She starts playing, I don't know. She starts playing weird-ass carnival music, and she's playing it in a church. And you better believe she gets fired for this, man. The priest hears it, and he's like, what have you done? It's like she went and took the icon of the Virgin Mary and stuck it between her boobs and had someone come on her. How dare you fill this sanctum with that kind of unholy melody? He's like, you're fired. Just fuck you. Get out of here. I can't believe you'd play that kind of Satan music in this church. How dare you use that organ in that way? That's something we say at church a lot, How dare you use that organ in that way? And so she turns and she picks up her book. She's like, well, then I'm just going to leave then. I wasn't committed to this anyway. And then he says this, don't leave. I mean, you can still be my parishioner. I can still be your confidant. You can still, tell me things and I can still absolve you. Fuck you. She basically flips him off. She's like, I don't have religion. I have no soul. And she turns and leaves. And he's like, well, I guess I'm down an organist. I'll just go get someone's grandmother. There must be someone who goes to this church who has a grandma that plays the organ and who will do it for fucking free all day long. So, I mean, she just loves hanging out at church. So I'll just do that. Why was I even paying her? I guess it was because she was pretty. Again, she was kind of zoned out the whole time. He might have been shouting at her to stop and she wasn't listening. Who knows? She was kind of watching visions of people twirling around the amusement park, kind of dancing in a strange and shady prom of death. She's like, well, okay, I'm going to go out now. She's like, I want to feel something. And so she goes and grabs Mr. Linden. Let's go out, baby. Let's hit the town. I want to go to the bowling alley. Or she just wants to go somewhere. She's like, let's get a pint of really cheap beer, maybe some French fries or some nachos, and just sweet talk me, and maybe I'll put out. I don't know. She's like, I'm really depressed, but I don't want to be alone tonight. I want to be with someone. And, she's not making it easy. I have to say, I mean, Mr. Linden is a pretty ugly and repulsive character himself. He's really greasy. It looks like he smells of gin and silly string. Toots, you gotta give me a chance. You gotta give me a piece. Well, I just don't want to be alone tonight, but I don't know if I want to have sex. I'm very disconnected. I don't believe in God, by the way, and I don't know. They get home and she just has a freak out in the bedroom. She's like, ah! Because she sees the dude in the mirror, the weird, I guess, I don't know, is it her dad or something? He's like, excuse me, young lady, absolutely not. She's like, I can't have sex right now, Mr. Linden. The man from the amusement park is in the mirror, or whatever. John's like, listen, this is just too much. I'm going to go sleep with one of my wives. Turns and leaves. So she's zoning out even more, and she sees, I guess, no reason to stick around if Mr. Linden's not going to bone her. And And Mrs. Thomas doesn't like her that much either because she's been pushing a lot of furniture around, apparently. She gets the idea at certain points. I don't know what gives her the idea, but she'll just kind of she'll zone out, and then be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I need to move the couch over here." And she'll push something to some side of the room, and apparently she does that all night long, and Mrs. Thomas ain't happy about it. And Dr. Samuel stops by, and he's like, "Well, I want to go talk to her, just see what's up." And she comes out. He's like, "Well, she's crazy." I mean, I don't want to diagnose her. Again, I'm not a psychiatrist, but she seems insane or something. I mean, that's all I can say, Mrs. Thomas. It's doctor-patient confidentiality. And she's like, "Well, all I know is she's been moving things around all night and taking a bath, but I don't care about those sorts of things. She probably left a ring in the tub." Dr. Samuels is like, "I have non-psychiatrist stuff to do at my job, which is not psychiatry. See you later." He leaves, and she takes off. She's like, "I packed my bindle, and I'm leaving." I gotta tell you, man, she doesn't take any clothes with her. I don't know where she finds these 7 pajamas that she wears when she answers the door when Mr. Linden is there, considering that there's nothing in her suitcase. She could have brought a smaller suitcase, which is pretty crazy. And she's like, "Okay, I got my stuff. I'm gonna take off now, just to wherever." And she decides, for some reason that's not explained, or maybe it's explained because, and we can't hear because, again, sometimes it sounds like the microphone is in a saltines box across the room. We're like, I can't really understand what they're saying. So maybe at some point she said, "I need to get my car serviced," but she decides to do that. She's like, "I'm going to leave town. I'm going to go get the car serviced." That's just kind of out of nowhere. So she drives to go do that. And they're like, "You want some Java? You need to use the crapper." She's like, "No, I want to stay in the car. Like, elevate me." And they elevate the platform because they're going to go under there and check it for her. Okay, so she kind of like falls asleep here or something. I gotta let you know, she goes on this long, meandering, again, tour of the town where she's, no one's talking to me. Where is everybody? Like, everything's crazy, and people are grabbing at her, and she's seeing people in weird places. She wakes up in the car. She was there the whole time. She's like, "Whoa, thank goodness." And she just drives off. I think that's so funny. She just starts up the car and like drives out of the garage without paying or anything. She's, "Okay, see ya," and drives off. Woo, God, what have I been doing? So I don't know, now she's like, "I think I'm going to go to the amusement park because that was my destination the whole time." She's like, "I'm going to go there now. I've decided." For no reason. Again, I don't know why we're doing this. She's like, she drives out there. It just follows. She's like, "Well, I gotta settle this once and for all." Like, I guess maybe I wasn't there at the right time of day last time. I mean, I was there during the day. Maybe I need to go at night. I don't know. She gets there and she's walking around. She's like, "Well, seems different somehow. It seems as if a carnival is going to be conducted." She gets to a windowsill and then she looks behind her and there they are. They're having a dance to the dead, and they're all da 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 da. They're smiling, and it's spooky. I gotta say, it's all in black and white, and it's hard contrast. Real dark, real white, and there's all sorts of disorienting angles. But after a while, I'm kind of like, so what? Are we just gonna keep dancing the whole night through? Oh, and she's kind of seeing a version of herself that's a zombie as well. Kind of dancing, and it's dancing again with that dude. I don't know who he is. She's like, "Wow, I don't really look very good dancing. I thought I looked better doing that." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna like grab the sides of my face and start screaming now." And she runs, and they're chasing after her. They're following, and I'm not really sure exactly like what they're trying to do because sometimes they'll get close to her and then they'll let her run off like they just wanted to cause her to freak out. I don't know. But they chase her around and they're chasing her out of the building and she's like, "No! Dance with us! Come with us, Mary!" And they eventually pile on her. She kind of gets out towards the fence, but she doesn't escape. They just jump on her and they start like beating on her. And then we cut to the next day. There's a lot of juxtaposition where it's just a really hardcore jump cut. The very beginning of the movie was a cold jump cut. So we get one here. Suddenly, it's like the next day, or maybe it's some other day, and we have some random characters standing around. We have the priest, because I guess he's involved in everyone's business. You know, maybe in New England, but not in Utah. That would be the weird Mormon druid or whoever, like, runs town business. That would be the person. I don't know. But he's like, I just wanted to be here because I knew her. I mean, our one date was here. Also, there is Dr. Samuels, again, for whatever reason. And I think they're supposed to represent atheism and religion. I don't, in death. I don't know what. But they're both watching, and the cop's like, it looks like she ran out here and then, I don't know, got teleported somewhere. She just kind of disappears. Like, she kind of went splat. And she might have spontaneously combusted. Happens to thousands of people every year. And they're speculating, and then they decide they really don't care. They leave. They're like, wow, who was Mary Henry? Where did she go? What does Miss Thomas know that she's not telling? Now we cut back to the river, and we see the car. It's being pulled out of the river, and she's in it. Her makeup's looking fabulous, and her hair looks great. She's sitting in the car. She's like, oh, I can't believe it, man. It's all dry. She's sitting in there, and they're like, she's beautiful, but also a corpse. She's a cadaver. Her soul has been wandering, apparently trying to get a job at a church, and it didn't work out. And as an organist, she couldn't make it. And that's the end. Carnival of Souls! Again, it's very well shot, and it's very artsy, but I don't know. The story's not good enough. I'm sorry. It's just not good enough. The whole sequence where she's asleep at the AAA center or whatever, where they're fixing her car, that goes on forever at the end of the film. And it's totally anticlimactic and does not need to be in there. It's a tangential narrative of some kind that just ends. So that could totally be taken out. We could cut out 20 minutes there. And honestly, there's other shit we don't need to see too. There's long sequences of her seeing that dude where I don't know. It's kind of a boring movie. And you know what? It also could have used music. Just gonna throw that out there. There's very little music. And you know, at certain points it could have also used sound. You know, a teacher said to me that people will forgive shitty video, and the video quality is not great either. But they will not forgive bad sound, and you know, this would be a good example. But Carnival of Souls, it's a classic. You have to say you've seen it, and then you understand cinema. So there you go.